Welcome back to part 2 of Let's Design a Trading Card Game. So for this video, we're going to be discussing aesthetics. And aesthetics are sort of subjective, so this video won't be as in-depth as the first video where we discussed mechanics. But I did want to just kind of discuss it and kind of give some guidance so that we can kind of narrow in on what we'd want to do. So when you think about aesthetics, you'd want to decide how broad or narrow you want your focus to be. So some games like Pokemon are pretty focused in. Once you see Pokemon art, you immediately know what it is. These cute little monsters that evolve up based around elements. So they've got their aesthetic pretty locked in. And other games can get a little wider variety, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a wide range of different subclasses and such. And then you can get even more wild with some games like Vanguard, where the clans are drastically different. For example, my favorite is this one, where there are demon robot football players. So and then other cards in the game are like dragons or knights or animals going to school. So you have basically, you can go as broad or as narrow as you want. And something we want to discuss is how recognizable you want your cards to be. Like we already talked about Pokemon. Once you see it, you know what it is. Recognizability recognizability is good for the game because people like what they know, and having a certain brand can help you gain recognition, and people can say, oh yeah, I recognize that, and it reminds me of this other thing that I really like, and then in another route you can think about variety, how many different types of decks you want. And that can be good because it will appeal to a larger number of players. So if your diverse game has like a mech deck and like a demonic deck, then you would appeal to people who like both of those aesthetics, compared to if you just had a mech game and that was it. So it's kind of a balance. You kind of want to be unique, you kind of want to have variety, but you still want to be grounded in some sense. You still want some sort of central theme to your game, and you want aspects that people can relate to and get excited about. Alright, so I'm thinking for games that I'll make, I like to keep my options open. Like in the past, I printed out some copies of the cards I showed earlier. So these are the two main decks. There's the Buddy Knight deck, which is this teddy bear with a sword. And then his opponent is the Server of Solitude, who's like this masked evil sorcerer guy. Another deck that was popular, I haven't remade this one yet, but I probably will, is this Office deck, where it's these little goblins who are in an office. So I think what resonates to me is just the variety that I could make in this game, and as long as it's grounded in some way, I don't think it would have a real downside. So we would just have to figure out how to create this world where all these three could exist, basically. But that's kind of getting into like more lore and such, which you don't necessarily have to have. So yeah, you can take or leave how much consistency or like believability you want in your game, I guess. So the last little topic I wanted to discuss was how aesthetics can tie into your mechanics. So we already kind of discussed kind of like a greater lore for all your decks, and how that aesthetic can help people like understand your game coming into it. But it can also matter on just a individual like card or deck scale. So each deck could have a certain theme, and then you can have that theme reflected in the deck's playstyle. Like for example, like maybe a ninja deck can attack the opponent directly, or it can evade attacks, or maybe like an angel deck could heal damage, something like that. So these are all just things to think about when you're deciding your aesthetic, but at the end of the day, it's really up to you when it comes to aesthetics. I feel like that's a very subjective thing. It's up to your personal preference. And if you like it, and if you think people like you will like it, then I would say just go for it. So yeah, I'm gonna keep testing with these two. I'll make a video soon discussing my little journey through these. I've made a few options. I just kind of went to town and tested, and it kept changing because I quickly realized the flaws with my initial design. So I'll go into more detail with that soon. So I'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye.